Ewe Emhotep Nefer Kemet. Welcome in great peace to Egypt. I am Penmeru, the chief scribe for recording the counts of the herds. I've crossed the time barrier to talk to you about animal husbandry in our country. This activity is as important as agriculture to us. However, the pastors are socially inferior to the peasants who cultivate the land despite their hard job. In the south, the herds are sent to the clover fields. Meadows with grass growing wild are widely spread in the delta, in the north. The cattle found the natural pasture in the stretches of the marshy lands. The herds of cattle, goats, and donkeys are sent for a part each year to the marshes of the north. The marshmen, who we call secti, will take care of these herds. The marshmen are as well bird catchers and fishers. They are considered pariahs. They excel in their job and as well are skillful in making good mats and boats from papyrus reeds. Nevertheless, their appearance is not clean. They never think of shaving off their hair clearly. They cut their hair short on the forehead. Their clothing is very primitive. The herdsman looks comical when he puts on a short skirt of yellow matting. These herdsmen live with the herds in the marshes. They adopt reed huts as shelters instead of homes. At the end of the day, some of these men are squatting round the low hearth roasting their geese on wooden spits at the fire. One is plucking his geese. Others are plaiting papyrus reeds or cooking dough for the cattle. Another man is asleep. A dog follows his master and is sleeping. A large jug, a basket, some small vessels, and a few papyrus mats are kept in the middle, as the only furniture needed for a herdsman. However, at times, some of them may quarrel for trivial matters, while the others are busy in working. They push each other by their hands, or even use their sticks in their fights. One of the marshmen falls in the water and is trampled by his rivals. The herdsman will be happy on returning home. On the way back, they have to cross canals. But a common danger is waiting under the water, the crocodiles and the hippos. To deal with this problem, a few herdsmen cross first in a boat and encourage the tired animals by their cries. They drag a calf through the water by its 4 feet. The mother cow is anxious about her baby, so she follows it. The rest of the herd will then follow the mother cow despite the danger of the crocodile under the water. Another boat follows the animals to keep the herd together. When they arrive, they hand over to the master a couple of young gazelles or pretty birds as a present and to the scribes of the property. Then the reckoning starts. The overseer counts the number of heads of each breed and of each class. The numbers correspond to the report made to the steward, who in the presence of the master of estate, receives it from overseer or the head shepherd. The record says, 834 oxen, 220 cows, 3,234 goats, 760 asses, 974 rams, and a man carrying young lambs in baskets slung upon a pole. The steward carries a banner indicating the group under his report. This is an endless succession of oxen, goats, donkeys, and sheep. The chief scribe then hands to the master a long piece of writing indicating the number of each herd. There are also other ruminants, which were hunted from the desert and it could be brought with the cattle. For example, the antelope and the ibex. They can also be tamed like the cattle. Wild birds are caught by bird catchers, such as geese, ducks, quails, swans, doves, and cranes. They use different kinds of nets. The birds are brought in cages from the marshes. They are well fed, reared, and fattened in the same way as the cattle, with the fattening bolus of a special doe. The migrant birds in winter form such a good catch for bird catchers. Each kind is assembled with its name. A man is kneeling behind the plants and putting a hand on his mouth, ordering them to keep silent and start to drag the net with the birds. The enormous numbers of cattle that belong to the temples are amazingly huge. This reaches hundreds of thousands of heads of different herds. Horses and mules are also counted. Pigs are not popular for most of our people, but still very few do have them. This is a wooden model of a slaughterhouse in the group of Maketra. This shows the branding of the cattle with the stamp. The rearing and feeding of the domesticated water birds are not confined only to geese, but also cranes, ducks, and pigeons. Of all the domestic animals, the ox is the dearest to the heart of the Egyptians. We talk to our oxen and give them names. We deck them out with colored clothes and pretty fringes, and also, we put bells around their necks. Each herdsman can recognize his herd by the special sound of his bell. We adore the bull. Even, one of the royal titles is Khnum, which means the strong bull. The Palermo stone, which is one of the records of our history, records that every 2 years, a census of cattle was held, and the ruling years of each king were counted accordingly. Representatives of the royal administration are sent to the countryside and villages to determine the taxes, according to the cattle census. Here is an indication of the wealth bestowed upon temples. The temples under Ramesses III received in 31 years the following: 514,968 heads of cattle, and 680,714 geese, among other things. Bullfighting is a common sport supervised by the herdsman. We develop several species and varieties of oxen, such as the long-horned, the short-horned, and the hornless oxen. Special bulls of excellent qualities are kept for breeding, and the rest are pushed away just to work in the fields. The cows are kept for breeding and milking. We have to fatten the oxen by feeding them with dough of bread. In some instances, we castrate them to help them gain more fats. The way of milking the milch cows is done by 2 persons, one ties the calf and the other milks the cow. Special requirements and rituals are needed to slaughter an animal. It must be free of any defect and purified by reciting certain prayers and spells. Certain animals were chosen as sacred to certain deities, such as the ram that represents god Khnum, who fashions man on his potter's wheel. The cow is considered sacred for goddess Hathor, the goddess of joy, beauty, and holy maternity. The Apis bull is also considered sacred. It symbolizes the courageous heart, great strength, fertility, and fighting spirit of the king. Goats are as common as the sheep in our country for their well-known benefits. We sometimes assemble animals in a comic way, such as this. A lion is playing the Senate game with a gazelle. 2 wolves are leading a herd of goats. One of them is playing the flute. A cat is herding a herd of geese. So, we obtain from animals and birds many products, such as meat, milk, fat, butter, cheese, and eggs. These are essential food ingredients on our table. We also get important elements for our daily life usages such as wool, feathers, skin, bones, horns, glue, etc. We are skillful in artificial processes for hatching the eggs of fowls and geese in special ovens. We are also clever in curing animals and birds by a class that belongs to the shepherds. The herdsmen are clever in assisting cows during their labor. The shepherds have overseers who give reports to the scribes attached to the steward's office. The latter examines them preparatory to presenting them to the owner of the estate. Everything is recorded in writing. To avoid any connivance or question respecting the accuracy of a report, 2 scribes receive it from the superintendent at the same moment. We are very cautious. But still there are also great cheats. The cattle are brought into court attached to the steward's house or into the farmyard, and counted by the superintendent in the presence of the scribes. The bastinado will be freely administered if any fraud is detected or any negligence was found. The numbers written over the animals correspond to the report made to the steward. The field animals are indispensable not only for farmers and peasants, but also for all people. They represent an important part in our food, and we depend on them in various activities and purposes. I hope I could explain well the importance of animal husbandry in our country. So long.
Make sure to tune in to my next videos. If you have any thoughts or questions, add them to your comments. Kindly press the like, share, and subscribe buttons. I'm Farag Al-Sharabasi. See you in the next episodes. Thank you.